these two boxes of Rallyman are jam-packed with possibilities, and it's my intention to highlight all of the interesting things you can do with them. This is Shakedown. In today's Shakedown, we're going to learn how to lose control. Sorry, no, not lose control. Come to a stop with style. This might be a bit of a hot take, but I'm not the biggest fan of the infamous Group B rally cars. Don't get me wrong, they look awesome and sound monstrous, but when your car has quicker reactions than your own brain, how on earth do you drive one at speed without crashing? Practice, obviously, but the truth is that sometimes crashes are going to happen. It's exactly the same in Rallyman. Sometimes you're going to lose control. But all is not lost, not when you can rewind time. Today we find ourselves in Stage 3 of the San Remo Rally, recreated in Rallyman by Sergio Recampo, and we want to lose control as many times as we can. In fact, I'm going to roll as many dice as I can flat out in an attempt to do just that. I won't be happy if I make it around in one piece. It sounds silly, but this is the best way for us to learn that there are two equally important parts to Rallyman: racing and crashing. Where racing would have us respect speed limits, crashing will have us break them. Where racing would have us end in a high gear for a faster time, crashing will have us end in a low gear to avoid damage. The best Rallyman players know how to race and how to crash. So if we want to raise our game, we're going to have to spin out a fair few times. To show that off, we'll be in the R5 on asphalt tyres, capable of boosting up through the gears, but not so good on the brakes. The damage bag includes green flags and damage tokens for all the dice types we're using. We'll have a spare tyre card should we want to use it, but that'll only help for a loss of a single coast die, so it probably won't feature. As I'm not going to be spending any focus to pay for any dice, I won't bother taking them, but I will keep track for our final stage time, which hopefully won't be too fast on account of all the crashing that we aim to be doing. The stage is set, and if you've played Rallyman, you will know that the more dice you put down, the greater the chances are of rolling lots of hazards. So our first turn, something like this, allows us to roll all the dice we have available. Will at least 3 of them show hazards? Not on this occasion. We have 2 hazards, one on the 4 and one on the brake. So we have managed to come into the drift space in 3rd gear and set ourselves up for the next turn, where we are going to remain in 3rd gear. We're going to coast through the corner. We're going to break down to gear 1, up to gear 2, and then boosting to gear 4. Again, not the kind of turn that you'd want to do if you want to be safe, but we don't want to be safe, we want to risk everything. We have rolled 3 hazards. We have hazard on the 3, the 4, and the brake dice. So if we were to keep our initial roll, we would lose control in 4th gear, which wouldn't be good for our damage, although we are on a yellow tile. So can we engineer that to end in a different gear? We can do something like this. We can break down to gear 1 in order to come to the inside lane instead. That's our second hazard. And then we can go over the dotted line of the sharp corner in gear 2, which would break the speed limit because our speed limit is added to this space. So we have a speed limit of 1. We've broken it in gear 2, so that will be a better way to pull less damage. So we're going to end our turn in gear 2. But because we've lost control, we are actually in gear 0, and we've pulled no damage for being on a yellow tile. Now, if we were to stick with our original and end in 4th gear on a yellow tile, we would pull 1 bit of damage. Might not sound like much, But if that one piece of damage was our boost die, for example, then our whole race could be ruined. We have a jump coming up. Jumps are good places to crash out. So let's see if we can do that. We're going to come, let's think, if we boost up to 4 and take the jump, we would end in a crash by overspeeding into the corner with a speed restriction of 3. So we don't want to do that. Instead, we will break down to 3 on the jump and end in that space, and then we'll continue to slide around the corner. Something like that. That will allow us to use lots of dice and have plenty of opportunities to crash. We haven't done so. We have made it around the corner, over the jump, and have drifted through our next corner in gear 3. I want to come up to gear 5. Again, something you probably wouldn't do in game, but we want to maximize our chances of crashing. So from there, we're going to break down to gear 3, coast around the outside of the corner, and end in 4th gear over there. We have not lost control. Flawless set of dice. It's absolutely not what you want to see when you are trying to show people how to lose control. We are going to break down to gear 2 and come through the next corner in 1st gear. And then we can boost up to gear 3 and end in the high gears through the curve. That will allow us to roll all of our dice. The more dice we roll, better our chances of losing control, which we have done so. We are currently losing control in 5th gear, which is all the way over here on an orange tile, which would have us draw 3 pieces of damage. So can we avoid drawing 3 pieces of damage? If we break down to 2, we can then coast out over the sharp corner limit, much like we did up here. That'll allow us to finish in 2nd gear in an orange zone. We could get an extra space by crashing in 3rd gear by being over the speed limit of the inside part of the corner. If we crashed in 3rd gear in orange zone, we would pick 1 damage tile. So if we manage to do it in 2nd gear, that should mean drawing no damage whatsoever. Next turn then, we should have the opportunity to use all of our dice. If we boost up to 4th and then into 5th, and then we can break down to gear 3 on the inside lane on that corner. Again, all of our dice and hopes for a crash. We have rolled 2 hazards. So we haven't crashed. We have ended in gear 3 on the inside of this corner, coming up to a gear 2 hairpin. What can we do? Let's see. Of course, we want to be in gear 2 there. And if we can, we want to end in a high gear. So to get there, we need to coast in 3rd gear. Is there a way we can make that riskier? Yes, there is. We can break down to 1st gear and then accelerate out. I think that's the riskiest we can do, so we're going to roll those flat out and hope for the worst. 2 hazards. We have gotten all the way through the hairpin and we're in 5th gear, awaiting a big crash. Will it happen on this turn? We need to either take the shortcuts in third gear or less, or we can try to navigate the track properly. So, more dice, the better. We can drop to fourth. We can break down to gear 2 and then coast through, and then no, if we instead break to 3, we can then boost out in fourth gear. Again, that's the most amount of danger we can add to this roll. 2 hazards though, so we still haven't crashed. We have taken a break and a drift and a boost, and we are in fourth gear. I don't think we can get around the corner and over the jump unless we were to take the shortcut. But we don't want to take the shortcut. We're trying our best to crash. So if we coast around the corner, then boost up to 5 and then end in fourth. We have rolled 3 hazards, our favourite number on this absurd challenge. We're currently crashing in fourth gear in a red level tile, which is not going to be good for our damage. That would be 3 pieces of damage. Can we do anything to reduce that? If we break down to gear 2 on the inside, we will overspeed in gear 2. Gear 2 in a red level is just the 1 damage pull. It's our first damage pull of the day, which is remarkable seeing how many times we've crashed. We've lost one of our gears by doing that, a couple of tiles before the finish line, so I'm happy with that result. We have a jump before getting there. We also don't have all of our gears, so can we engineer a turn that will get us somewhere close? We can do something like that. That'll put us 1 space away from the finish if we get there in one piece, which we do. So we end here in 5th gear, and then anything will take us over the line. So a roll of gear 5 flat out has us cross the line for a total time of 4 minutes and 54 seconds when all is said and done. Not the fastest through the stage by any means, but when you compare the potential pull of 7 damage tokens compared to our actual pull of just 1, you can see that all this rearranging was a smart thing to do. When you're rallying, losing control will cost you the same amount of time whatever the gear, but you'll draw a different amount of damage. When you're racing in GT, higher gear crashes will leave you off track for longer, in addition to more damage, so you really ought to do everything you can to work with the dice you've got and crash smartly. Remember, losing control is bad, sure, but it only becomes a race-ending incident if you give up trying to affect your fortune when it happens. And it will happen. So get used to it, have fun, and have yourself a good crash next time out.